Electric water heater connection. Most residential electric water heater are powered by 30 amps 240 volts circuit. This circuit requires 10-gauge wire. In home installations, a 10, 2 nm, non-metallic sheathed cable is most often used to power electric water heaters. Also, a 10, 3 nm cable can be used to power an electric water heater. With this type of cable, the white wire, which is the neutral wire if not marked as hot wire, is not connected, it is capped with a wire nut. The electric water heater has a junction box located on the top of the unit, with a two-piece junction box cover. One part of the cover has a knockout for wiring, and this part of cover is attached with two screws. The cable knockout fits 1/2 and 3/4 inch diameter cable connectors. This part of the cover also has a grounding terminal, green screw. During wiring, this cover can be removed to facilitate installation of the water heater power cable. After reinstalling the junction box cover portion with the cable, make sure that both cover retaining screws are tightened to ensure proper grounding, which is accomplished by the ground screw located on this cover. The second part of the cover has a tab that fits under part of the cover already installed and holds the installed cover on one side, and a screw secures the cover on the other side. This half of the junction box cover has a bulge that extends over the installed ground wire so that the cover properly secures the connection in the junction box. 10, 2 and 10, 3 nm cable wires. Bare wire, ground. White wire, neutral. Black wire, hot. Red wire in 10, 3 cable, second hot. When using 10, 2 cable, the neutral wire is used as the hot wire and must therefore be marked as a hot wire with black electrical tape or other appropriate means. The electric water heater has two hot wires, black and red, for connection to the power source, and a grounding screw for connecting the ground wire from the power source cable. The unit ground wire is already connected to its housing. For NM cable, the cable connector commonly used is a 1/2 or 3/4 inch 2-screw clamp connector. To connect the electric water heater, insert the cable connector into the cable knockout. Insert the cable into the cable connector and tighten the cable connector screws. Remove the cable sheath and strip approximately 1/2 inch of insulation from the ends of the cable wires. The length of free wires exiting the cable sheath should be at least 6 inches. Wire nut used for connection. Mark the white wire as hot using black electrical tape or other means, since the white wire will no longer be neutral if using a 2-wire cable, 10, 2 cable. If a 3-wire cable is used, 10, 3 cable, for the connection, the black and red wires should be used and the white wire should be secured with a nut and left free inside the junction box. Connect the ground, bare, wire to the ground terminal of the water heater, green screw. Make sure the wire is connected so that the junction box cover can fit easily over the junction box. Using a wire nut, connect the hot, black wire from the cable to the hot, black wire from the water heater. Connect the hot wire from the cable, red from 3-wire cable or white marked hot from 2-wire cable, to the hot, red wire from the water heater. The hot wires of the water heater can be connected to the hot wires of the power cable in any order. Insert the connected wires into the junction box. Slide the junction box cover tab under the other half of the already installed junction box cover and secure with the screw. The cable must be supported and attached to the building structure no more than 12 inches from the cable entry point to the water heater connector. And the length of cable from the cable entry point to the nearest support must not exceed 18 inches. The NEC, National Electrical Code, requires that the disconnect switch be located within sight of the electric water heater, and if not visible, it must be capable of being locked in the off position. The circuit breaker can also be used as a disconnect. The disconnect switch used to operate the water heater can be locked in the off position. Install the disconnect in the selected location. Install a 10-2 or 10-3 cable from the panel board. Insert it into the disconnect switch through an approved cable connector, and connect it to the disconnect line terminals. For 10-2 cable, mark the white wire as hot before connecting, as it will no longer be a neutral wire. Insert the cable from the water heater into the disconnect switch, and connect it to the load terminal of the disconnect. If the 3-wire cable is used, connect the hot, black and red wires to the hot terminals, and secure the white wire with the wire nut and left free inside the disconnect. If installing a 2-wire cable, mark the white wire as the hot wire before connecting it to the hot disconnect terminals. Both ground wires connected to the ground terminal of the disconnect. Hole in disconnect switch housing for padlock if locking is required. The cable must be secured to the building structure within 12 inches from the cable entry into the junction box. Install the disconnect cover to finish its installation. Install a 2-pole 30 circuit breaker in the panel. Insert the cable through an approved cable connector, and connect the cable wires to the circuit breaker in the manner appropriate to the connection of this cable to the disconnect or water heater. Before the white wire is connected to the circuit breaker, it must be marked as hot. If no disconnect is installed for the electric water heater and the panel board is not installed in sight, the circuit breaker must be capable of being locked in the off position in accordance with NEC requirements. The padlockable device must be installed on the circuit breaker, and the circuit breaker must be labeled as a water heater. Per the 2023 NEC, an electric water heater does not require any GFCI, ground fault circuit interrupter, or AFCI, arc fault circuit interrupter, protection, unless it has a cord with a plug and its outlet is installed in an area where GFCI protection is required for a 120-240 volts receptacle. If this video is helpful, please subscribe. Comments are welcome.